Peace and blessings, everyone, and welcome back, as Sheronda would say, to Redefining Authenticity. I am your co-host, Kim Martin Raymond. I am your Toolbox Essentialist and founder of Redefining You LLC, where I help my clients to realign themselves, mind, body, and spirit. And it is also home of the 365-day challenge, where we are on day 272. Y'all, it's been a journey. The countdown begins from 100. So we've been counting back, and we are going to be sliding into 365 days in no time. So hopefully you have been following along. Hopefully you have been enjoying being part of the 365-day challenge. And if you want to know a little bit more about it, you can go to my website, www.hownowpodcast.com. And you can find out a little bit more about the 365-day challenge. Okay. Also, remember to look at the bottom of the screen. Scrolling down at the bottom of the screen is Sheronda and my YouTube channel. So make sure that you like, follow, share, and subscribe. And make sure that you smash that notification bell so you always know when we are airing live. Okay. Sheronda will be joining us shortly. She's got stuck in a little bit of traffic, but she is on the way. And so I'm going to be holding down the fort for the next few minutes until she arrives. And today we're going to be talking about what is in your recovery toolbox. Now, you know I love that because I'm all about toolboxes. I'm all about making sure that we are creating toolboxes so that we can respond and not react to the things that are going on around us. Okay. And if you're joining me, please drop a comment, say hello, tell me where you're checking in from. We'd love to hear from you, and I like to give you a little shout out as we go along. But as I said, we're going to be talking about what is in your recovery toolbox. And I guess to start that off, we got to kind of talk about what recovery is. So let's dive right in and get into what that recovery toolbox looks like and what recovery is. Okay, so the Cambridge Dictionary defines recovery as the process of becoming well again after an illness or injury. Okay, and I just see Sheronda popping in. She said she's almost there, so she's on the way, y'all. She's on the way. Okay, all right. Let's get back to what recovery is. Recovery is defined as, again, the process of being well again after an illness or an injury. Okay, and then it also says here the term recovery does not just refer to recovery from drugs or alcohol. Okay, sometimes when we think about recovery, we think of those things. We think about illness, we think about injuries, we think about recovery from alcohol and drugs. But you know that we can also recover from mental illness. You know, this is Suicide Prevention Month. We've been talking about, you know, being able to identify different levels of mental illness and to be able to help people who are experiencing that. And when we talk about mental illness, it's, you know, there is a recovery period, but it's not the same as a cure. When we're talking about recovery from mental illness, we're talking about creating and living a meaningful life and having the ability to contribute to our community, either with or without health issues. Okay, so it's kind of considered your personal recovery. Okay, so recovery comes in different forms. Okay, it comes in the form of recovery from drugs and alcohol. And again, it comes in the form of recovery when we're talking about an illness or an injury that we may have. But there is also that recovery from mental illness. Again, where we're creating that meaningful life that we choose to have. So it just goes to show that they're on all levels. When we talk about overall wellness, again, we're talking about mind, body, and spirit. And so recovery can come in the forms of mind, body, and spirit, and recovery in each one of those areas. So that's something to consider when we're talking about recovery. Okay. Okay. So what are recovery tools? Okay. Let's talk a little bit about what some of those tools look like in each of those areas. When we talk about recovery tools, they are practical techniques or resources that help restore balance, peace, and energy. Okay? And it says recovery tools are not a one size fits all. So let's unpack this a little bit when we're talking about those recovery tools. Okay? They're resources and techniques. So they are things that we can use, things that we can put in that toolbox that are going to help us to restore, again, that balance, that peace, and that energy. So what are some things that we can put in our recovery toolbox? I think when we talk about illness or injury, if we're talking about that, we're going to be talking about making sure that we're partnering with our physicians or our medical team to help us to figure out what's going to restore that balance to our bodies. What are some things that we need to do? Is it going to require us to use a tool or of some type? Is it going to require us to have bandages? Is it going to require us to have stitching? Is it going to require us to have a certain level of rest? What are some of the techniques or resources that we can use to help to restore balance physically in our bodies? Sometimes, again, that requires rest. Sometimes that requires us to take time out to give our bodies an opportunity to heal. Okay, so it's getting us back to center. Okay, when we think about mental illness and we think about recovery tools that we can use there, again, we can tap into our medical team to assist with that. We can also use techniques like breathing techniques. What are some things we did? We can use writing, journaling, things of that nature to help us with regards to recovery there. All of the tools and techniques that we're using are, again, going to help us to restore that balance, that peace, and that energy. Okay. And just like it says, those tools are not going to be the same for everybody. Think about the tools that are in your car. Okay. You may have a special type of lug nut on your tire that requires you to have a special tool to use that. Okay. So you may not be able to use just your little standard, you know, wrench to be able to get that to get the lug nuts off of your tire. They may require a different thing because you have a different type of car. We're all individual. We're all different. So the things that we're going to use, again, are not going to be one size fit all. They're going to be different for everybody. And it's just a matter of figuring out which tools work best for you, And so the options are endless. And it's just a matter of finding out which ones work for you, which ones are going to be the ones that are going to help to restore balance for you. And so a lot of that recovery starts with us being able to be mindful of where we are and what it is that we're recovering from and how long it's going to take for us to be able to recover from what it is that we're experiencing. That's going to be something that's important to consider as well. What are some of the things that are going on and how long is this process going to take? And again, that's not the same for everyone. Everybody's toolbox is going to look different because certain things are going to work for some and they may not work as well for others. Some people may be able to do some things independently and others may need to ask for help. And it's important to be able to tap into where we are and where we're at with regards to our situation and to be able to say, okay, this is where I'm at, and these are going to be some things that I need. And then it's a matter of seeing what are those things that you can use independently and what are those things that you're going to need to ask for help for. Okay, so again, your recovery tools are going to look different, but they're going to be practical techniques. I like that word as well, practical. They're going to be things that we're going to be able to do, you know, and that's also going to require where you are. Okay, I think about exercise. You have some people who can have an exercise plan, they can have something that they need to do, but they have issues with their knees or they have issues with their back or they have issues with their neck. So there may be things that they are not able to do. if they're given a certain technique. They may have to say, okay, that's not practical for you because of the situation that you're in, because of the space that you're in. So you have to be able to say, okay, this is where I'm at, and these are going to be the practical things that I can do. Some things may be an issue of cost. I may not be able to use a particular technique because of the cost of it. So it's important that as a part of our recovery, we're considering whether those techniques that we're given and those resources are things that are going to be practical, things that we can actually do. Okay. But it's all about getting us back to that place of center, getting us back to that place of balance, getting us back to that place of peace, and giving us the energy to be able to move forward in our healing. Okay. That's something that's important to consider. Okay. Now, categories of recovery tools. Okay. There's journaling for emotional release. And we talk about it. When we talk about recovery and we're talking about mental health, we're talking about journaling, being able to write down those things that are bothering us, or being able to express them in a way that helps to release it. Sometimes it's good when we can uh, look at a situation and say, okay, I'm frustrated. I need to write it down. And that's going to allow me to get it out. Especially if I'm in a space where I'm not ready to talk about it, or I may not have a person that I've entrusted to be able to have that conversation with. But sometimes being able to put pen to paper and to be able to see it, and to it brings it to reality, it brings it to fruition, it makes it real when you're putting it down and you can actually see the words on the paper. You're connecting what's in your mind to that paper, so that gives you a bit of a release. And that's why it's something that we as coaches tend to tell people to consider journaling, because you're getting that emotional release. For people who may not like to write as much, they can go and talk into a recorder. That's something that they can do as well, because they're allowing it to be released. And again, sometimes it's great when you can see the words on that paper, and it makes it real. You're writing those things down, and there's a reality in that, because it's taking those thoughts and things that are in your mind and putting them on the paper. Okay. All right. And joining us is the beautiful Sheronda Barksdale. Welcome in.
Peace. Welcome and welcome back, Sheronda. Please forgive
Yeah,
my tardiness. I got caught in Atlanta traffic today.
that's all right. That's all right. But you're here. You're here. And I've told them make sure that they like, follow, share, and subscribe. We've been talking a little bit about what recovery is, and
Yeah.
and what we can put in our toolbox. And I was just getting ready to start on this one, but I want to roll back because I love your thoughts on this part. What are recovery tools?
Absolutely. Uh, I love this topic, period, because there's such a negative connotation about mental health and mental illness. People think that because they've been diagnosed with depression or anxiety, that that's it. And there's nothing that I should be embarrassed or I got to struggle with it alone. But there's so many things out here that can help support your journey. Everything doesn't have to look like medication.
That's right.
Surprise, surprise. Everything, you do not have to always be medicated. Sometimes it is necessary, but sometimes once you start medications, you can learn certain tools and slowly be weaned off the medications when you learn how to recover on your own without the medication. So it just depends, on what you're going through. And like it says, not one size fits all.
Right.
It looks so different for everyone. So we got to make sure that. And I was listening to you as I came whipping in. I was listening that you were talking about how everything, different tools require different things. I
Right.
can't go and try to use a Phillips head when I need a flathead.
Right.
I might need a wrench instead of the little grip type. I forget what it's called, pliers and
Quiet.
stuff like that. You for each task we need a different tool. For each
Right.
person we need a different tool. So it's okay. It doesn't have to look like anyone else's. just do something. Reach out for your tools, pull out your toolkit. And I hope that this particular show is going to help y'all create one.
Right.
We got the Toolbox Essentialist right here, y'all.
Right here. I love that. I love
Yeah.
that. And yeah, like you said, we were talking about that. They have to be practical. They have to be something that's not going to be so far out of your scope that you're
Yeah,
not going to be able to use them. You
right.
know, don't tell me to use something and then I'm like, well, I can't afford that, or I can't, I don't have access to that. It has to be something that you're going to
Yes,
have, that you're going to be able to access, and that's going to be practical for you. That's why we
yeah,
said there's no one size fits all, and there's no correct answer for this one.
yes. And you
Okay.
said something that made me think of something being practical. Yeah, it was something you said that triggered a thought. Oh, yeah. Because there are some things we can't do by ourselves. Like, for example, I could plunge a toilet. I might even be able to snake a toilet.
Right.
But when it gets serious and that thing is deep and under the ground, we have to call in the plumber. We have to call
Right.
in the specialist, the people who can help us. So
That's right.
sometimes that is more practical. I want everybody and anybody under the sound of my voice. If you, almost any county has a behavioral health center. These centers usually have a sliding fee scale to no fee. If you go to them, look them up, make some phone calls, they'll want to see your income and things like that, of course. But they usually can help you, even if it's just to see one of their therapists. And
Right.
they usually have psychiatrists as well, and you get your meds for like $4 if necessary. And that's why even like places like Kroger and Publix and things like that started charging really small amounts for certain
Mhm. Mhm.
medications, because some things aren't practical for everybody. Some people can't afford to go out and get a private therapist, but there are a lot of organizations that are out there. So make sure you do your research.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love that. Love that. Let's move on.
Yeah.
We were talking about categories of recovery tools, and I was
Mhm.
just getting into the journaling and talking about that emotional release and talking
Yeah.
about that connection of being able to write things down and to see it, and it makes it real,
Yeah.
and it also gives you an opportunity to get it off of you if you're not able to talk to somebody or have someone designated that you're ready to talk to about that situation. Just being able to write it down gives you an opportunity to release it.
Yes. What is it called, Kim? Is it it's free scripting?
Yes.
It's free script. Like we just it doesn't even
Yes.
have to make sense when you journal.
Right.
Just write down a bunch of words that you're feeling at that moment, frustrated, or just scribble across the pad. Because
Right.
even that is a form of release versus doing something that could be more dangerous, like hitting a wall,
Right.
hitting someone, throwing things. Get a pen, get paper, pencil, whatever, and just scribble a little bit, write down some words and how you're feeling, but it's an emotional release.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Absolutely. I love that. Okay. And then next one is positive affirmations.
Mm,
Okay. We love that. I have
yeah,
positive affirmations sitting on my desk and I change it every single day.
love
And
it.
here are some examples. It says, I allow myself to feel good. I am kind and compassionate towards others. And I am kind and compassionate towards myself.
Yep.
There are so many ways that you can affirm yourself, and you get that motivation that you need
Yeah.
during the course of the day, and then you can place those anywhere on your phone as a screensaver. I have sticky notes all over the place where I'm sticking it on my mirror.
Yes.
In my car, I have some in my office, so they're everywhere. So that way, if I just need that little pick me up, there are certain things that I have around me that are going to help to affirm how I feel about myself, because at times we can forget, right?
Yes. Absolutely. So for me, if anybody has dealt with anxiety, and the anxiety will convince you that the sky is falling. The sky is absolutely falling. Sometimes our thoughts go way further than what we're actually going to deal with. And it's just a form of fear. So for me, with positive affirmations, I have to remind myself of who I am. So some of the ones that have been most effective for me are like, I am enough. I deserve to be happy. I
Right.
deserve to have a beautiful life. I am powerful. You create your own positive affirmations or Google them. Look up. they'll have thousands and thousands of affirmations, and you can even like positive affirmations for work,
Right.
positive affirmations for sad, the help, even recovering from sadness
Right.
or depression and different things like that to really help you recover because it's necessary. The word recovery has been coming up for me recently because most recently I learned about recovery. I always thought of AA meetings. That's the first thing that always came to my mind. Then I was like, recovery is that space from when you may have had a panic attack or an anxiety, just one of those episodes, manic, all those things that happen to people. You just need a moment to recover.
Right.
Positive affirmations give you a moment to sit within yourself without even having to budge, not having to apologize to nobody else, but reminding yourself of who you are.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love that. Just like you said, there are ways that we're choosing to get ourselves back to that space of center, getting us back to that space, like I said in the beginning, of peace. you
Yes.
know but the one thing that we have to be mindful of, and I say this before we continue on, is you're wanting to prepare these things, you're wanting to have these things in advance, because it's very hard when you're in the midst of a storm to remember to put your umbrella up, okay,
Right.
or remember to reach what to reach for, because at that point everything is coming at you at once, and you're
Yeah.
not in the frame of mind to think clearly sometimes about what it is that you need to do. That's why
Yes.
it's important that you have this toolbox and that you have these things in place. You can't say, oh, well, I'm going to start journaling, and then when you in a space of crisis, you're going to remember to run to the store and now buy a
A
book, or you're going to have
journal.
to be looking around the house. You're running around trying to find a journal or trying to find a pen.
Hmm.
It's having those things accessible.
Yes.
Go on Amazon and buy you some positive affirmations, or look some up so that you have them at the ready, so
Yes.
that when things happen, you want to be able to reach right for it. You don't want to wait until you're in the midst of the storm or something is going on before you reach for those things. It's preparation. It's having those things in advance. That's the key.
Yes. Yeah.
That's
One thing, especially like Dollar Tree, I'll run into Dollar Tree, and sometimes they have candle holders or frames or different things with affirmations on them. I'm like,
that's right.
wow, look at this. And so it's something that you can have already sitting ready for any moment. It makes me think of the emergency preparedness kit. So like
Absolutely.
if whatever emergencies may happen, because I'm from the Gullah Geechee Nation, from the low country. So we had to have a kit for if a hurricane comes. What are the
Mhm.
things we may need? Because we didn't always evacuate. We just didn't. Sometimes you can't afford to. That's what happens. And so we had a bunch of candles in there, batteries, flashlights, food, stuff that was what's the food, Kim, that doesn't
Oh, I know what you're talking about. You're talking about like your non-perishables and things like
non-perishables. Like the word wouldn't come to me. Non-perishable things that girl, I'm so crazy. I started thinking about Cheetos. Like
that.
they survived the apocalypse probably, but just having things inside of there that, like Kim said, you're already prepared. So
Right.
when the crisis comes, when the hurricane comes, when the storm comes, when those moments come where you're feeling almost out of control, reach into the toolbox.
That's right.
And I love that these are mind tools, y'all. This is specifically for the mind.
That's right. That's right. We gotta be ready, because you may not have time to get ready. Okay. Remember that. Be
That's
ready, because you may not have time to get ready. Be ye prepared.
it.
Okay.
Be prepared, baby.
All right. All right. You want to hit on the next one?
You go ahead.
Oh, guided meditation apps. Okay. Love me some meditation. Used to
Yes.
do meditation for my church. They say I got that little meditation voice going, that little thing going. All right. But there are so many apps out there that you can use. They have one here. Calm is a popular one, that expand beyond meditation and relax meditation, guided ones. Some people like to start out, if especially if they're new to meditation, they
Yes.
like to start out with guided meditations, because they're
Right.
telling you what it is that you need to do. They say,
Mhm.
some people say, well, I can't do it because my thoughts are all over the place. Yes, but sometimes if you have that guided one, you're paying attention to what that person is saying. So that's what's drawing you in. And even if your mind wanders, that person talking will remind you to come back. So that may be the
Yes.
best place to start with those guided meditations because they have so many different ones that you can use. They have short ones, they have timed ones.
Yeah.
So you can go through a myriad of different meditations, or you can independently meditate, but the
Yes.
guided ones are really, really good. The apps are really good. They've gotten to where you can choose the voice and all those other things because some
Yeah.
people the
Yeah.
voices are not. I'm like,
Yeah.
that's
Some of
not
them I can't do.
that's not for me, right? And so it's just a matter of finding again that tool that's going to work for you. But those guided meditations, there are so many different ones that you can tap into.
Yeah.
And start out small, start out with those 2 minutes, start out with those 5 minute
Yes.
meditations, and then as get more comfortable with meditation, then you can expand and go a little longer.
Yeah.
Don't start out with a 30-minute meditation, you'll be asleep.
Okay. And mad. And mad. I wake up just mad. It didn't work. Just mad. Well, another one is Solvana. I love Solvana. That one's really powerful for me. But I've been meditating for a long time. Me and Kim are both certified transcendental
Yeah,
meditation.
yes,
But so we've been meditating a very long time. But
long
that's
time.
going back to what we were saying earlier. That's part of your preparedness kit. You
Yeah,
have to know how to practice the meditation before the issue.
that's right.
You getting that 2 minute, that 5 minute, and growing to like a good 10 minute. Say you get up to 10 minutes on a daily basis. If something happens, because like for me, I get social anxiety. I didn't used to have it. Now I don't want to be around nobody. I don't know what happened. But even just going in the grocery store sometimes is overwhelming for me. However, because I practice meditation, it's in my toolbox for real, for real. Because I practice it so frequently, if I feel overwhelmed in the store, I'm reminded of the feeling I felt during meditation. So I can
Right,
bring myself back to a place of homeostasis, back to my peaceful state, or at least as close as I can get to that feeling of feeling relaxed, feeling
right.
calm, and being able to do what I need to do in order to function. That's real.
Hmm. And
You
again, like
all
you
share that. Somebody I had a conversation like yesterday, Kim, with somebody about they were they were saying to me that they didn't think that I had any anxiety issues or anything. They were like, it seemed like you're just a healed person. I was like, nobody's healed.
right,
We're all
healing.
healing, and recovery tools are part of the healing process. What we use to be able to function. What happens with healing in your recovery is you get to recover quicker. You're learning how to, it doesn't take a whole month to pull you out of a space. And
Right.
then all of a sudden it's a month, then every 3 weeks, then every 2 weeks, and then 1 week. Then you all of a sudden you see yourself, catch yourself not even going into the panic attack because you have your tools prepared and you've practiced using them
That's it.
consistently.
That's it. I love that. Just like you said, it's tapping in. You're tapping into yourself, and you're learning your triggers. You're learning those things that may cause you to go a little to the left or a little
Yeah.
to the right. You know, and once you identify that, once you get good at identifying certain things, just like you said, you're going to have those tools ready, and you're going to recover quicker because you're able to identify it.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
it all starts within.
Starts within.
Starts within.
All
All right,
right.
let's
We'll
move
do that next.
on.
Our
All right.
next category of recovery, body tools. Did you know you could use your body to recover? Yo, breath work. Breath work is an excellent, that is one of my favorites. I definitely use that one on a daily basis. Look, I got children. Take some deep breaths sometimes. But there's different, we could go on and on about the breathwork techniques. So if me and Kim do a class, we usually can teach those one by one. But for the sake of this, make sure you Google breathwork techniques. One I'll give out real quick is just doing inhaling for 5 counts, holding for 5 counts, releasing for 5 counts.
Right.
Doing that over and over, do it like 5 times, you'll find your heart rate slowing down. You feel your body, your shoulders are relaxing. You feel your muscles relaxing, and you can now recover from the space that you thought you were about to enter into. So breath work is a great one for a body technique. What you think?
Absolutely. Just like you said, they have the four square, where you're doing the breathing and you're going up and breathing. Yeah, there are just so many, like you said, different techniques. And again, start small.
Yeah.
Start with sometimes just taking a deep breath. Sometimes when we're upset or when when we're having some type of anxiety, we don't realize we're holding our breath until we take the breath. Not until we take it. They just, and some people will say, if they're having anxiety, just take a breath, breathe into this bag, take a breath. That's going to center you. That's going to remind you that you're in the space that you're in right now.
Right now. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Breathing is showing. It's that reality of, okay, I'm still alive because there's breath in me. So
present and accounted for.
Here.
Present and accounted for.
That's it. I'm present and accounted for. Exactly. I'm here. So just taking a deep breath. If you notice, even in exercise, when you're beginning your exercise and you're warming up, they'll tell you, to breathe in, take a deep breath in, and breathe out.
Yeah,
that's the first thing that they tell you to do. So I mean, you're doing breath work, even if you're a person that's doing exercise and you're just going into your workout. You're taking those breaths initially to help to get things flowing and circulating. So breath work is huge.
Yeah. And one more thing about the breath work is when you slow down and take slower deep breaths, your organs, body tool, your organs are getting more oxygen now because you're like Kim was saying, when you're anxious or you're going through some type of mental crisis or something, you're taking shorter breaths. Sometimes we don't even realize we're doing it. We don't even know we're holding our breath in. But now all of your organs are receiving more oxygen, and now they can do what they need to do to help support your journey in a more healthy way. So sometimes breathing is everything, yo. Because if you're not, well,
not even. Right.
Just saying. And another form of body tool is gentle movement. We got the moving lady right here. That's her. Stay moving. That woman there, especially what Kim has really got me into, is stretching. That's another way to release, make sure the oxygen is moving inside your joints.
That's right.
Go ahead, Kim.
As we are aging, it is important that we stretch. Okay, strength training is something that is huge as we're aging, but stretching as well, being able to warm our muscles so that they can move more fluidly. We're getting oxygen into our body. So just like you said, the yoga, the stretching, the walking, movement is key. Movement is key because as we sit and we sit for long periods of time, our bodies become stagnant. And then our muscles and things begin to atrophy because they are not being used in the way that they should be. So it's important that we're taking even gentle movement, because gentle movement is something that everyone of all ages can do. They didn't say aggressive movement or rapid movement. They said gentle movement. Okay? Because no matter what age you are, you can move gently. And it's also going to make you more aware of if there is something that needs your attention. If you're gently moving your body, you can say, wait a minute, something doesn't feel good in my wrists when I move it slowly, or something doesn't feel good when I lift my arms above my head or my legs. That gentle movement is going to indicate when something is not right.
Yes. And here we go with accessibility. YouTube. You don't have to necessarily go to a yoga studio if that's not something that's affordable to you. Pull it up on your phone.
Yep.
Your laptop, your television, and you can find beginner's yoga, beginner's stretching, walking at home, just standing in place, doing, slow body movements. Listen to some slow music and move your body with
Tai Chi, all of that.
Tai Chi. Oh, I miss when we used to go to Tai Chi.
I miss that too, girl.
We need to find something like this between us.
We used to do
Tai Chi in San Diego's in town. Oh, we used to do Tai Chi in the park, y'all.
Yes. It's
early morning. Well, I didn't even want to be up, but the air is nice and crisp. It was just beautiful, though.
I miss that. I do.
Girl,
I do.
You gotta get on my jump.
I know when Carmen San Diego is in town. Yes.
Carmen San Diego's in town. Okay, and our final body tool is nutrition and hydration as healing foundations. If you're eating a bunch of junk, water.
Stay.
If you're eating a bunch of junk, if you're drinking a bunch of sugary things, they automatically are going to make you feel depressed. Those type of foods, that heaviness, that greasy stuff, this it just weighs your body down. So it makes you not want to do gentle movement. It makes you not want to take deep breaths. So you have to be mindful about the food, things that are more alive, the fresh thing. I'm not saying you can't have those things because I ain't trying to mind your business, but don't forget about your salads, your fresh fruits, the things that don't have to be cooked. Eat as much of that and drink as much water because again, H2O.
Yes.
You're getting oxygen there as well.
That's right. That's right. Just like you said, nutrition is key. And she know this is my jam. This is my thing. As I'm getting older, certain foods just do not agree with me anymore. Certain foods like they bother me, like it affects my sleep.
Okay.
I don't sleep well if I eat certain foods. Every now and then your girl be wanting that chicken wing. That chicken wing be calling me. Okay. And then every time I eat that chicken wing, my body goes, what was that? Why'd you do that?
Over there, Kim? Something.
Yes, something my microphone.
Oh. It went away.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, I'm sorry. My microphone fell off its little stand. So I apologize for that. Okay. So like I was saying, when it comes to your nutrition, I used to like to eat chicken wings. They just do not agree.
That's so messed up.
It hurts. I feel discomfort.
Wow.
And so, if you're eating properly and you're hydrating properly, when you go the other way, your body goes, no, no, no. And it starts to tell you certain things you used to be able to eat. Certain people are becoming lactose intolerant. Certain people, one day you can eat ice cream and next day you can't. One day you can eat butter and next day you can't. One day you can eat pizza. I remember when I turned 40, for that whole year I was 40, I could not eat ice cream or pizza. My body was like, no, no. And I was like, what? But we go way back.
What?
I have no idea what happened. Something changed in my body, and it was like, no, I can eat those things now, but at a limited amount. But
limited, yeah.
For that whole year, I could not eat ice cream or pizza.
Mine
that was when I was still eating whatever I wanted to.
I can't do milk anymore.
Yeah, your body begins to reject certain things, and then the things that people are putting in food, the processed food. And that's why they say so much, stay away from processed foods, because they're putting so many new things in the processed foods to give them more shelf life, and it's causing a different reaction. And that's why people are like, wait a minute, I used to be able to eat this all the time. They're not preparing it the way they used to. They're not preserving it the way they used to. And the new things that they're adding are beginning to have an effect on people and to wear on their bodies. And that's why you're hearing all these things. And that's why everybody's saying, go natural, plant things, eat whole food, eat things that have 5 ingredients or less, because the more things that are being added, the more damage it's doing to our body. And just like I said, if you're not feeling well, then mentally you begin to not feel well. It's a domino effect.
It's a domino.
I can go on and on for days on this.
Yes.
You already know.
Absolutely. No, because I wanted to say, to always remind people, sugar will give you a false sense of happiness. It's going to give you that quick rush. Those endorphins are going to go up. You're going to think you're feeling good, and then that crash is going to remind you, and it could easily take you deeper into a depressive state or anxious state, because it's a crash, because you go down so far so fast that your body feels worse. So then you start having the thoughts, something must be wrong with me. I shouldn't do that. I did this, I did that, I'm so wrong for that. And we start beating ourselves up, and on and on and on. So yeah, being mindful of your nutrition, and Lord have mercy, hydration, y'all.
Please
with the Kim, just get on them about the hydration.
You must drink water.
Nice.
You must hydrate yourself because so many people are walking around dehydrated and don't even realize.
Don't even
You
realize.
can, in your skin, you can see things, you're missing it because you're replacing it with those sugary drinks. You're not giving your body that flushing. And people say, oh, well, our body is made up of water. But that's not the point. We need to bring that hydration. It helps to move things. It
Yes.
helps to bring in that oxidation. All of those things. Water is so
Yes.
important for us to consume. And it just helps to move everything. It's
It
what
does.
we need.
Yep.
We need to continue. They say you are what you eat, and if our body is such a large percentage of water, we need to make sure that we're consuming a large
Yes.
percentage of water. Have
For
to
that
be.
very reason. Help
Yes,
flush. It helps flush
yes.
our system.
Your skin, your hair,
Everything.
all those things, they need that hydration.
Check your phone.
I'm sorry. Oh,
Check your phone.
always,
Yeah, I was gonna
always.
say with the hydration, especially shout out to anybody who's type 2 diabetic or anything like that. Drinking water helps flush the sugars that come from certain foods, from certain carbs, from certain fruits. Drinking a lot of water will help the sugar that's in your system be flushed out a little bit quicker, and your cells aren't absorbing all that sugar. You need to drink water. I see so many people struggle with the water thing. And I used to. I must admit that there was a time. And guess what, y'all? You cannot substitute it for that sparkling water. The
You cannot.
sparkling water that's sugar free is not a substitute for water.
Yeah,
It's not a substitute.
it's
Sorry
not
to
a
you.
substitute. It is not
Mhm.
a substitute. I'm sorry. Like I said, we can hang out here a little bit more because it is so important. We don't realize how much our body and the things that attack our body affect, again, our
Yeah,
our mind, affect our spirituality. There's so
yeah.
many things that are connected to our body, because if we're in pain, or if we're in inconsistent pain, it begins to wear on your mind,
Come
because
on.
your mind is constantly trying to think, how am I going to resolve this issue of pain? It's not allowing me to be able to concentrate. It's not
Yes.
allowing me to be able to move in the way that I want to move. And I'll be transparent here, because we've been talking about my spinal stenosis. It has been getting progressively worse. Okay. And so now I've begun to think, okay, what are some things that I used to be able to do? I used to walk around Stone Mountain
Mhm.
here in Georgia. That's 5 miles around. I used to walk around it 2 or 3 times a week, three
Yeah.
or four times a week. Now I can only walk about 8 minutes before my legs and begin to feel like they're tingling, and they feel like pins and needles, and then it becomes hard to walk, and then
Yeah.
all of a sudden my gait becomes different, and my leg starts to go out to side, and I have to sit down.
Yeah.
And that's huge. It's a
Yeah.
huge mental thing for me, because
Yes.
my body wants to walk the way I used to, but because my spine is pinching, I don't have the ability to do that. So now I have to say, okay, what can I do in place of that?
Mhm.
Because I travel so much for work, I have now had to resort to using a scooter, because it's too far for me to walk when I'm in the airport from gate to gate.
Especially Atlanta
Too
Hartsfield.
much. Oh, in
Field. A
in
field.
O'Hare and Picker Airport.
Oh
All
yeah.
of them, it seems like my gate is at the end. So it's just too much. It's too much walking. And so I've had to resort to, first I had to resort to, not being able to run on my treadmill, to using my recumbent bike, where I can, move on my bike that way, and started moving into chair exercises. And
Yes.
now I have to move to a scooter to be able to get around. I've made the adaptations that I've needed to make, but it
Yeah.
does not mean that it doesn't wear on your mind,
Yes.
because now you're thinking, I'm still young, I can still move around, and now all of a sudden I can't do the things that I used to do.
Mhm.
But for me, I said, I can't do things the way I used to do them, but it doesn't mean that I can't do them.
I can't do them.
It was like, we have to get in that mind frame of, okay, I may not be able to do it the way that I used to do it, but
Right.
there is a way in which I can do it. And
Right.
that's where it's important that we take the time to again create our
Yeah.
own toolbox.
Hmm.
I'm going to get up and I'm going to do my exercise every day like I've always done. I'm just doing it differently.
That's it.
I'm just moving differently.
Yeah.
My nutrition has changed,
Yeah.
so I'm doing things differently. That's going to help me to continue to move forward because it's about quality of life.
Exactly. And I want to share my story as well. So I was diagnosed with fibromyalgia about 10 years now at this point. And I remember early on with fibro, it's like you're in complete, if you ever had like a sprained ankle and that swelling feeling that you get right there, you get it everywhere. Like my whole body sometimes would become inflamed. And I remember even after I had my youngest son as a baby, I couldn't even take him out the crib myself. I would have to get my husband to hand him to me because when I tried to pick him up, I couldn't close my fingers enough. So I would have to sit there and hand them to me. And it was scary when I was home by myself. I felt defeated. It messes, like you said, it messes with your head. Like, this is my existence for real, just sitting around, body in horrible, horrible pain. Even if my child a hug, it felt like it burnt my skin. The touch, I couldn't
Mm,
be touched. It feel like it was just the worst feeling. I still get it at times, but like Kim said, I learned recovery tools, gentle movement. That I can't do aggressive workouts. Aggressive workouts like running and stuff like that. Uh, my whole body will feel like it's inflamed all over again. But gentle things like yoga and the stretching and the paddle bike. I can never know what the name of it is. It just
like
works.
the stationary bike.
Stationary bike and things like that. Sitting down and doing that takes some of the pressure off of other parts of my body, so my entire body doesn't inflame. Do different parts still do it? Absolutely. But I had to learn to adjust so that I didn't feel defeated. Because one thing I know I don't want to do, especially at 46 years old, is try to get disability. I'm not hating on anybody else who does, but it's not enough money for me. I have so many things in life that I want to do that disability is not going to be able to support that. So therefore, I was like, okay, no. Because my doctor started talking about, well, maybe we go this route, you can get disability. I'm like, no, I want to save that for a little bit later, and
Right,
because I want to right now I want to bust my hump and make a lot of money, be able to travel. How can I do this without being medicated to?
right,
Not having to be heavily medicated because I got children I got to take care of. I'm
right.
already loopy as it is, sober. I don't need no help. Swimming, that's another one, Kim.
Oh, yes.
Mental movement.
Yes.
Swimming. If you have a pool or what is it called? Why is my brain the little recreational centers that are nearby? That
Right. Oh, you have like the little saunas, or you have like the little whirlpools, the little hot tubs.
yes,
Yes.
getting in water and just allowing your body just to move. I did that exercise. I went to exercise. I went to exercise class for in the pool. Girl, everybody
Yeah.
was at least 40 years older than me.
Okay.
I was probably about 25 when I did it. Everybody was 65 plus. I didn't care.
Okay.
I sit right here in this
They're the best
pool
classes.
and do my exercises because it felt good.
That's it.
Do it. Do
Yeah.
what's going to help you recover. Do the
Right.
things that are going to keep you healthy
Right.
mentally and in your body because
Yes.
they, like Kim said, work hand in hand.
They work hand in hand. But just like you were saying a couple of slides back, there's no one size fits all.
There's no
You have to figure out what's
what.
going to work best for you in the condition that you're in. Like
Mhm.
I said, I'm not going to, as a holistic nutritionist and as somebody who helps people with getting their plans together
Yeah,
for exercise. I'm not. If you have bad knees, I'm not going to give you a plan that's going to have you do jumping jacks and squats
yeah.
and all kinds of things that your body is not capable of
Keep
doing.
going. Mhm,
It's
mhm.
really tapping in. Everything goes back to tapping into yourself, knowing yourself,
Yeah,
knowing your capabilities,
yep.
and knowing what's out there. And sometimes it's not always the things that are promoted. I didn't know anything. In all the years that I've exercised and done things, I knew nothing about chair exercises until
Ah,
I had to sit in a chair and exercise.
and
I
exercise.
knew nothing
Mhm,
about it,
mhm.
but I knew that I said, okay, there's got to be a way that I can exercise and sit down. And I started looking in the chair exercises, and there was a whole myriad of things
Yes.
out there that I didn't even know was out there.
Yep.
And that's where we have to take advantage of the you know, the fact that we're in an information age and that we're in an age of technology where we have access to so much
Yeah.
information from all corners of the world
Absolutely.
beyond the little card catalog and the you know environment that we were in our neighborhoods. We have so much opportunity to be exposed to so many things, and we have to, you
Yeah.
know, tap into that.
Yeah. I told Kim that I kind of want to move this into a two-part series because I think this is just a wealth of information. But one of the I just want to throw out there another one of the tools that sometimes can help support your journey. Because again, when we get depressed sometimes and anxious, things like that, well, isolate. Look up your local library. I understand that I'm in Atlanta, so I have a lot more access to things that other places do. Just check. A lot of times they'll have free classes, exercise class, somebody just to walk with, just a group of you together, go for a walk in a park. Those things will be accessible to you. Also check, why do I keep drawing the blinks?
You got like YMCA's.
I was thinking about Eventbrite.
Oh, Eventbrite.
Eventbrite.
Yes.
Eventbrite will have a lot of free events where you can mingle with people, you're getting some sun, you're doing things for your body, you're doing things for your mind so that you can feel energized and feel good about life. Yes, you can have those days of being locked down in that bed, but there's a time to recover.
Right.
Get your toolbox together.
I love that. I love that. And just like you said, that making the two part is definitely great. This is a great stopping point because we want to make sure that again we're focusing on the mental, we're focusing on the physical.
Yeah.
Okay, we're focusing on that spiritual aspect as well. All of these things overlap.
Yes.
And so it's important for us to keep them all in balance.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Just as a recap, some of the things we talked about as tools, what we say, journaling, meditation. What else, Kim?
We were talking about exercise, you know, nutrition, your body, hydration. Absolutely.
If you missed this and you came in a little bit late and some of these things are resonating with you, go back and watch so that you can find out. We have the slideshow up throughout the whole episode, so you go and write them down so that you can keep track of what tools and you can see what works for you. One size fits all. I mean, one size doesn't fit all. I was like, I put that one size. I bought something that said one size fit all. I was like, who? Who's the all? Why is my arm tight right here? Who's the all? And it be like that sometimes. So make sure you do your research for you, know what's available to you, and take care of yourself. Create the recovery kit.
That's it.
It's my toolbox essentialist right there.
That's Toolbox Interest. Okay, remember guys, like, follow, share, subscribe. Let us know, you know, how we're doing. Well, let us know about some things that you want to hear in the future. Okay, make sure that you like, follow, subscribe. Again, hit that notification bell. Let us know, you know, or to let you know when we're on the air.
Yes, thank you for joining us. And until next time, peace.